Marauders, welcome back to the channel. Please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video with a friend. In this video, I'm going to show you what I do to prepare for a ride at Susquehannock Trail, Allegheny, Pennsylvania State Forest. About a 43-mile loop. We'll probably do over 60 miles. We'll do the inner loop and then the outer loop. What I'm preparing, how I get this machine, Honda Talon 1000X, how I get this machine ready for a trail ride and the trailer, and we'll focus on that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. And many of you commented that I need to go back and check the torque on these bolts that hold the bead lock in place on the tire. This is the pattern that Tusk wants you to follow when tightening. They want you, first they give you how to assemble the bead locks, which they came, how to mount the tires in the bead lock rim. And they want you to torque them first to 10 foot-pounds, then I think fill them with air, then another 20. Obviously I'm not gonna go through that, but I am going back with my torque wrench at 20 foot-pounds, just checking it. And okay, so these are the first two I did, and you can see they're not torque right. Look at how loose this, I definitely had to go back. So I'm not gonna show you this on video, but I'm gonna go around, now you have to do each of these rims. I'm going to tighten them to 20 foot-pounds, all these bead lock bolts, and then I'm going to check the air in the rims. And that's probably why 3 of them were lower on tire pressure than the first one I took the plastic wrap off. So I'm not going to show this on video. So all of the bead lock bolts were loose. You could actually see bead lock pull in. I could see the threads on some of them, especially the right front, which by the way had the highest tire pressure out of all of them. You can actually see the threads on the beadlock bolt. You could see it pull in. Now I did have these all at 11 PSI when I first mounted them. I'm gonna push that up to 12 just for the first ride. And I am taking I'm gonna take my torque wrench with me and maybe check these on the trail. Definitely gonna check the lug nuts after 5-10 miles, maybe at our first stop. I'll go around and torque all the lug nuts again on it, bringing them up to 13 pounds. They're 13 pounds. This pump has a hard time with ATV tires. I don't know why, if it's such a big volume, but it has a hard time gauging the pressure and when to shut off a little bit. On this tire was pretty good. Yeah, we'll just do that. So I'm gonna go around, put 13 pounds. To ride the trails in Pennsylvania, I live in New York. Pennsylvania is the coolest state for off-road riding. They do allow for out-of-state vehicles to be licensed in Pennsylvania, and it's with the DCNR. I think it's the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources handles it, especially snowmobile license, but ATV's license. So I have to mount my plate to ride Susquehannock Trail. or all the Pennsylvania trails, including the National Forest. I have to mount my registration plate with a sticker, and this is a temporary. I'll get the permanent sticker in probably a couple months. And then I have to actually sign this form. I better do that before I forget, my registration form. And then I have to have my insurance on the vehicle. Then I need a helmet. So I need to be registered, have insurance, and a helmet to ride the Pennsylvania Trail. I put my insurance paperwork in these freezer bags in the glove compartment, so I have it. I change it out or put the new documents in every year, but this is where I put it in the glove compartment, so it's always stays in the vehicle if I'm switching different vehicles. Too much to carry in my wallet. So insurance and registration are in the glove compartment in the bag, in this bag. And then my registration, my plate, I'll stick on with zip ties. These are heavy duty zip ties. And I'll put it on with zip ties to hold it, and that usually works pretty good. And I'm not taking the Ranger tomorrow. The Trail Rangers, they're gonna laugh. Maybe, probably I'm getting older, and they are just driving faster. And some of them are older than me, but in better shape. I gotta take this. I don't think I can keep up with them in the Ranger. If I want. They'd laugh and they'd say that we'll go slow, you know, trying to make me feel good. But they've been really cruising on the trail. These are thick zip ties. I like them. They barely go through the hole. I don't want it tight, it's going to scratch the aluminum, but I think that's pretty good. I always leave about 1 inch, and I think I'm going to put 2. It's looking The more I do this, the uglier it's looking, but what are you gonna do? That looks terrible. We're not doing this. Okay, that looks really bad. I'm not doing that. Let's start this again. Maybe I should just leave it like that. It can flop around. I'm leaving it like that. These are thick zip ties. I think that should stay. I've never had one come off yet, so let's leave it on like that for this ride and see how it holds. Man, I was looking for those gloves. Registrations in the glove compartment. That's in there, so it's in there with the insurance for the vehicle. Plate is mounted. Next, let's look at what I'm going to take on the machine in storage. What am I going to take on the trail? What do I typically take? I have my small corded, it goes in a cigarette lighter, compressor. I am going to take that. I did have it when my tire blew out in Majestic. I'm also going to take my cordless compressor. I'm going to leave this in my bag. I'm going to take what I should have had in there. I'm going to have my tire plugs. This one's for Sam. This one I'm going to leave in my kit. I might put some more loose ones in. So I'm going to take my tire plugs in case I have another puncture. I always have, every one of my machines has a first aid kit. I've never opened it. I think we all carry first aid kits who we ride together. Toe strap, short toe strap to pull each other off the trail if need be. I have, which is critical, I've used this many times, I should put it on the charger, my jump starter. I think it's NOCO brand jump starter. I have helped so many people on the trail, including our own trail rangers, with this jump starter, getting people started. I have a pair of earplugs. The Razor Pro was very large. I take earplugs with me. I have a pair of gloves. I also will take a pair of safety glasses with me in case my goggles get screwed up. Tomorrow I am going to take, of course I always have food and water. Tomorrow I'm going to take my torque wrench to tighten my 13mm socket, to tighten my bead locks, to check those. I'm also taking the spline lug nut driver that came from Tusk and a 19-inch socket to check my lug nuts out on the trail. And believe it or not, even on state trails, I take my razor saw on the trail. Even on state trails, they keep them remarkably groomed. This razor saw has gotten us out of more jams, especially Sam and I were riding Pinocchio Trail, and in two spots, one completely on a very steep slope, completely blocked for about 30 feet. We had to saw our way through. It's on video. We had to saw our way through to clear the trail. It's also happened to me, and I think Sam, when we rode Rocky Gap, we had a similar issue with trees blocking it, or it could have been Pinocchio again, twice on Pinocchio. So I always take a razor saw, and it's come in very handy. So I think that's my supplies that are going in my storage box. I've offered Commander Andy, well now Maverick Andy, has a, he's taking his sport quad tomorrow, and I've offered to carry his lunch, or I'll carry any of the guys' lunches on the trail if need be. I have the storage room on my machine, and he's not going to have it on the sports squad, so I've offered to carry his lunch on my machine for the day. So I'm going to load this back up. Some of you may carry much more. I don't carry matches. I will probably have a knife on me, again for first aid reasons or whatever happens on the trail. But I will not carry a gun on the forest trails. I am licensed because I was a former law enforcement officer. I do qualify every year in HR, I believe it's 218, so I can carry my firearm, my pistol throughout the country. As a retired law enforcement officer, you have to qualify every year with a police agency to get that, but I'm not going to take a firearm on the forest trails. I don't know if they allow it, although I think they allow hunting in the national forest, so maybe they do. I'll have to ask that question. So this is going in the back of my machine. Oh, I gotta pack this compressor. This is going in, and I'm ready to go. Someone who I ride with who has a Talon got very close to running out of fuel on a trail, and I teased him about it. And I really shouldn't have teased him. I regretted it because after I bought mine, these things are misers with fuel on a trail. Not so much Majestic. It did use the normal amount of fuel for a 1000 cc engine. But when we ride Demon, it like barely uses any fuel. So you get in the habit, oh, I don't have to fill it up. I don't have to fill it up. I am gonna fill this machine up with fuel. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, could not stand the license plate here. Against what I said previously, I mounted it down here. It can flip-flop around a little bit, but it just did not look good in this space. I don't want to tighten it too much. We'll see if it scratches things up. I think it will be just fine in that spot. I do want to check the coolant level. That's the minimum level of the coolant when low. I am going to add a little bit to that. I really like this pre-mixed antifreeze. I have Bobcat. I use it in everything. I believe I can use it in this machine without any ill effects on it. I just brought that minimum level up on it. My Bobcats really seem to go through that coolant. So if you can see it, maybe I'm a little high now, but that's okay. I don't think being a ½ inch high is going to hurt it. Let's keep moving. This is probably close to a 200-mile drive, 100 miles there and back, 2.5 hours. And usually I will grease the trailer axles probably at least twice a year, in the beginning of the season and then maybe in the middle or towards the end of the season. I don't want to have a bearing issue, and not that greasing it absolutely ensures you're not going to have a bearing issue, but I like to pump some grease into the axle. And I usually will pump out, if you can see this, pump out some of the old grease when I'm doing this and change it over like I just did. But I want to make sure that I get some of the old grease out of the bearings. I want to make sure I get some of that old grease out of the bearings. And then it's one less thing I have to worry about. I just make a bigger mess, boy, I'll tell you. I look at a grease gun and I get grease all over. So there's fresh grease pumped in here. I've watched guys do it on YouTube. I've never done it, where they will pump a whole tube of grease in to the wheel bearing assembly. There's an inner and outer bearing. And as they pump in the new grease, it will push out the old black grease, and they'll keep pumping grease in until they see new grease coming out. I haven't done that on this trailer. I don't know if I will do it. I would say sometime in the next 2 years, checking the bearings. Really, I don't use this a lot. So I don't put 1,000 miles on this trailer a year, maybe 600. So I think for now I'm good. I might check the tire pressure though. Don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I do it every once in a while as I hit my hitch with 10WD-40. Again, this is not a how-to channel. This is how I do things. You have to do your own research. Do your own research on the procedures you should be following. This is what I do. Okay, so that's hit with 10WD-40. This tire seemed a little low. Let's check it. 50 pounds, that's not bad. 49, so I thought this was low. I'm gonna raise it up. I'm gonna put 55 pounds in it. Again, this pump is so handy. And I'm gonna check the oil. Honda wants you to run the ATV for 3 to 5 minutes before you check the oil, which, talk about aggravating. So, but I'll do that. Let's see how the tire pressure is on this one. Won't bore you with filling it up with air. 51.5, that's pretty good. It's a tight fit, as we've discussed before, but no tires are rubbing on the rails, which is good. This is a good position. So I'm going to check the oil up here. It's probably actually the easiest place to do it. The only topping off oil I have is in a full oil change kit. So I don't have a lot of choices in oil. I'm going to have to tap a new kit. But this is how Honda wants you to check it. Just let it cool down a little bit. I'll start strapping. I'm going to be able to give you the best view of this, but the crankcase oil is also the transmission oil. And what they want you to do is let it warm up 3 to 5 minutes. Do not thread the dipstick in. Just stick it in. And the oil should be at these 2 lines between them. And if you can see that, it's perfect. It might be even a little too high. So we'll do it one more time. And again, it's perfect. Okay, my oil, and I have the toughest time screwing this thing in sometimes. Okay, that's screwed in. The oil is checked. Dipstick is tight, coolant is good. I'm not checking the differential oils on this new machine that has 90 miles on it. After this run, I will change the oil on it and change the filters because it's going to be at that first interval time. I'm good to go, except I forgot one thing that we talked about. I never topped off the fuel. So I don't know if I'm going to take extra fuel with me. This is a real miser on fuel, especially on the hills we're riding, but it definitely needs fuel. Probably 2.5 gallons, I'm going to say. So let's see how this does. And I don't totally undo that vent. I don't know how you transport these in a truck. These tanks, I love how quick they fuel. They don't have those stupid valves, but I'm not quite sure how to transport them in a vehicle. And I did top this off before I went to Majestic. So at Majestic Lost Trails, almost exactly what I thought. She used 2.5 gallons of fuel on that trail ride, and I would have guessed that. So I am probably, before I leave tomorrow, some fuel in the back of the truck. Really, I'm not even sure what I'm wearing. Really should wear my Honda hat, shouldn't I? My tow truck is a Ford F-150 Platinum with the EcoBoost. I think it's 3.6 liter EcoBoost engine, which is 400 horsepower, 520 foot-pounds of torque on a 10-speed transmission. What I love about this truck is it's rated to pull 14,000 pounds, so it handles this configuration just under 3,000 pounds like it's nothing. And it has a 36-gallon fuel tank, which is great because I'm probably going to be driving a total of 5 hours tomorrow to and from the trail. Hope you enjoyed this video of me getting my machine ready to ride. We'll see how these tires perform on just a Sunday drive trail. 3 guys that are coming with me are accompanying me, Trail Rangers, Andy, Mike, and Sam. Know that it's just an enjoyable ride. Great for breaking in an engine. That's why I wanted to take the Talon. Plus those guys ride fast lately. So that's it. See you on the trail. Hope you consider subscribing, liking, and sharing the video. And the machine looks pretty good. I dialed her up a little bit.